Yo, I don't know why it's still playing, but there we go.
Maybe I'll have one.
Good. Nah, I had the YouTube pulled up. My bad. That's a bad intro, but welcome, y'all. We back. The Wholesale Hardknocks episode 8. My great friend, look up to this guy. He's my mindset coach. Mindset freaking Marlon. What's up, bro?
Bro, I'm happy to be here, man. Like, it's an absolute honor to be kicking it with you, be kicking it with Mike, man. Like, you guys dropped some fire content. You guys are out here providing value to the community. So I'm honored. I feel blessed to be here, man. 7 a.m. on a freaking Saturday morning, and I'd rather be nowhere else.
Yes, sir. I love it, bro. Yo, Mike,
I thought, on the real, I thought Mike was like posing for us. I was like, damn, his modeling skills is on point.
Bro, I was talking to Mike last night, and we were just talking about like how excited we are, bro. And I told him, I'm like, bro, I'm going to be extremely selfish on this podcast. Like, I have a lot of questions that I want to know for myself, and I want to hear your insight. And just because I respect your opinion, I respect your look on things, your outlook on things, bro. It's super awesome. I'm super excited, bro.
Bro, I'm an open book, man. So ask away, man. I'm excited to be here. Like, again, like I really do feel honored, man. Like, you know, it's like I'm usually on the other side of the microphone. Like, I'm usually interviewing different people, like with my show, and you know, it's rare when I get the opportunity to be on this side of the table. So, you know, I'm excited, man. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, bro. I got on a call last night with Daryl, and I was like, you know, I'm super excited for this. We're probably not even going to talk about real estate at all. That's what Daryl said. Daryl's like, dude, this thing is going to just be a mind-melting mindset episode. So we're excited, bro.
Bro, let's go.
Bro, you said something. It's 7:00 on your end. When I asked you to do this podcast, what did you say, bro?
Bro, I forget. I think when you asked me out, I think I might have said, I don't even remember what I said. I think I might have asked you first off, like, what time zone, bro? Because I was like, bro,
nah, you're like, bro, you guys are super early, and then you just said 1%. I'm like, 1%. That's facts, bro. We're here on a Saturday morning, 10 a.m. talking. We putting work in, right, and just providing value. Like Ben Humble, we had Ben Humble last week, and it was actually pretty cool because he changed my outlook on things, and he was like, we're serving, right? We're serving the community doing stuff like this, right? And I wasn't even thinking about it like that, but we're waking up on a Saturday, 10 a.m. to serve the community, bro. And I think this episode will serve a lot of people, bro.
No, absolutely. And you know, it's funny because like, I'm not gonna lie, Daryl, Saturdays are my day to sleep in. You know already that on Monday through Friday, I'm waking up anywhere between 3 and like 3:40 a.m. Every day. So it's just like Saturday is when I give my body that opportunity to sleep in. And so when you said 10 a.m. Eastern, and I was like, oh, that means 7 o'clock, which means I need to be awake beforehand because I still have to honor my morning routine and my morning rituals. So, you know, that means I'm waking up at least 6 o'clock. And I was like, again, that's not like super, super early. But immediately, like you said, like 1%, because ultimately I believe, who do I want to be, right? Like, do I want to be an average individual, or do I want to be among the top 1% of the world? And how would a 1%er respond to something like this, where they have the opportunity to be in the presence of greatness, where they have the opportunity to be able to provide value of any sort that may help someone else improve? They would rise to the occasion. So yeah, man, that's like why I respond to 1%. So again, I'm grateful to be here, man.
I love that, bro. And we've actually been talking about this because if you guys don't know, Marlon has a mic. I think your Wi-Fi is acting up, bro. I know you're saying something, but every single morning, Monday through Friday, Marlon has a I don't even know what to call it, bro. It's like a I don't even know. It's like a sanctuary, bro. Like every single morning, 7 a.m. We're on Zoom having a virtual mindset meeting every single morning we average about like 30 people in there every day.
Bro, we've been averaging like 50 people now for the last like 2 weeks. Yeah.
I love it. And that's something that you've been talking about recently, right? Being that 1%, right?
Mhm.
Like being in the 1% and asking yourself, is this something that a 1%er would do, right? Um, but that honestly made me want to. I wanted to ask you because you talked about earlier. You said you had to get up early for your morning routine. How important is that, bro? To have a morning routine?
Man, that's a great question. So check this out, Daryl, because I was actually just having this conversation yesterday with a friend of mine who reached out. He needed some help. He needed some time. So, I cleared off a little over an hour on my schedule just to talk through some things with him. And, one of the main points we arrived on was the importance of a morning routine. Because when we're talking about becoming the 1%, and the 1%, I just want to clarify when I say the 1%, it doesn't necessarily just mean in earning potential, right? Like, hey, I'm a 1%er, I'm walking around with a bajillion dollars in my pocket. It's a holistic 1%. It's somebody that is financially strong and fit. It's somebody that's mentally, spiritually, and physically strong and fit. You have relationships, you have a good reputation, you're proud to be yourself, right? So it's a very holistic view of the 1%. And when we spoke about essentially how to get there, how to begin that process of doing that for yourself, it's by honoring the commitments you make to yourself. So when I look at my morning routine is so many things for so many reasons. And one of the most important things it is for me is it's an opportunity to create a commitment to myself that I can then honor, because life has a way of tugging at you in every single direction, especially when we get into those hours that are working hours, when we get into the hours where other people are awake, when our responsibilities are calling on us. Everyone's in a different situation. Someone may have kids, husband, wife, family, a mother and a father who they have to take care of, neighbors that they got to attend, jobs that they have to get to. So life can very easily begin to pull at you. However, if you have this morning routine, you're able to be in control of that by ultimately making a decision to perhaps sacrifice staying up late so that you can wake up early, have these quiet hours to yourself, find an additional 1, 2, maybe even 3 hours for yourself before the rest of the world, before the rest of your world wakes up, because we all live in different worlds. So it's before your world wakes up. And there you can begin to honor some of the commitments you made to yourself, be it I'm going to read a book, be it I'm going to start praying and meditating, I'm going to start visualizing, I'm going to take time for exercise, I'm going to take time to really just sit with myself and enjoy some of my personal pleasures, whatever that thing may be. It's an opportunity to honor that commitment. And what I love about it, like Daryl, Mike, this is my favorite part about it, right? It starts to build this internal confidence. It starts to realign you with yourself. And ultimately, a lot of people are looking for this formula for success, and everyone's got a different answer. My personal opinion, and this is what it is, it's an opinion, you're going to find your way to success when you find your way back to yourself, right? When you know thyself. And the only way to know thyself is to spend time with yourself without the distractions, right? Because when so much is going on, it's just so hard to actually understand who's showing up, right? There's just so much data coming in. But when we learn to operate in the pause, learn to operate in that quiet time, then we can start to see what starts to bubble up. What are the voices that come up? Which are the voices I want to listen to and which are the voices I want to ignore? So the morning routine for me is paramount and it's critical. And what I love about it, one more thing, and I really want to let people know this. The morning routine can start off basic. Like my morning routine simply started off with actually just having a wake up time. Like that was in the very beginning, that's what the morning routine was. Now it's much more, it's way more robust than that. Now I've compounded different things to it. However, in the very early stages, I tried doing a whole heck of a lot in the beginning because I was very motivated. Think, January 1st, like New Year's energy. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to go save the babies and put out the fires and climb the trees. It was too much, right? I could sustain it for about a week, but then I fizzled out. So I decided to go a different route. I started off more basic. Hey, Marlon, just wake up. Waking up at 4 a.m. is a tough job. Start waking up at 4 a.m. Just do that. And when you wake up at 4 a.m., just simply get your eyes open, wake up, stand up. I'll be honest, there were times I woke up, stood up, and then just went right back to sleep. However, I got myself to do the thing. So I rewarded myself mentally saying, hey, you know what? You woke up. Then it was wake up, stay up, and start speaking your gratitude, right? So it started to compound, right? And then it was, give yourself some task the night before so that your morning routine has purpose. Because I was waking up early, but I was like, why am I waking up so early? I'm so tired. Why am I doing this? And I realized I didn't have a purpose. So then it became wake up, do your morning gratitude, read your goals, begin your exercise, go outside and do a morning walk, a morning jog, right? And it just added. And the confidence that came from it, I don't even care to tell you about it, because if you just do it, you will experience it and no one will need to explain it to you. So morning routines are critical in my life personally.
So in your morning routine, you are a 1%er with the morning routine.
Bro, I'm a 1%er all throughout the day.
But right, so that's how I'm just going to the morning. So this 1% thing essentially is everything that you do is you're trying to reach being a 1%er. So Marlon, I can imagine, probably looks at his week in the beginning of the week from out here and says, okay, what do I want to do? What do I want to accomplish? Let me be super intentional on all these little things. Monday through Sunday, I have a morning routine. I'm going to be intentional about it. And I'm going to be a 1%er morning routine type of person every single freaking day. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. So if he's crushing his morning routine, he's probably going to crush the rest of the day. So just curious, because I've heard you time block before. Say that you time block before. When you time block, let's just say it's on Sunday or Monday, whenever you do it, how are you setting those time blocks? And how are you making sure that, hey, I'm going to make my schedule this week according to being a 1%er in every single time block?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I want to let everyone know, right? This is like an evolving answer, right? Because I'm constantly, I'm testing, I'm seeing which works, I'm optimizing, right? So there was a stage where when I was time blocking, like Mike said, on Sundays, I use Sundays to climb the tree. So I learned this from a good buddy of mine. He taught me to climb the tree. And essentially, this is where you're starting to look out into the forest and make sure that you're still cutting through the thick of it in the right direction, that you're still moving in the right direction. So you're not just working for the sake of working, because you might be going in circles. But if no one's getting that high level perspective, you might just be getting lost. So Sundays are the day for climbing the tree and mapping, right? Getting back into the war tent and strategizing. So when I do that, here's what I've tried in the past. I've tried to time block in 15-minute increments and 30-minute increments. And the challenge I ran into, I'm just going to be honest, the challenge I ran into was when I was doing it this way, I was encountering new challenges in my business and in my life that I had never encountered before. Therefore, I wasn't good at yet estimating the length of time it would take to handle these situations. So I had maybe given myself 30 minutes to handle a situation that actually took me 2 hours, which then threw off the entire rest of my day's schedule. So what I tried doing at that point, and I just want to express this because I want people to understand that we're constantly learning. As a 1%er, I don't think I'm perfect. As a 1%er, I think I'm a problem solver, right? I know I'm a problem solver and I'm a learner, which means I'm constantly improving. I'm constantly gaining new skills. So I said, you know what, let's be disciplined about 30 minutes hit. You said you're going to give this task 30 minutes, you're done. I did that for some time. And then what I found happening there was a part of my brain was still aware of the task. So although now I'm in this new task, a part of my mental bandwidth is still holding on to that old task, similar to having too many tabs open on your computer. Things are getting to slow down. So what I began to do from a standpoint of time management was I threw time management out the window, but I kept prioritization. So I prioritize. So every day, this is what it looks like, Mike, and this is how it looked now for the last few weeks. I make a list of 6 items that need to be done. That by doing these 6 items, a lot of other things will continue to move, right? These 6 items essentially are the bottlenecks of whatever it is I'm trying to do. Like By opening these up, right, I'm opening up a lane in the highway. By opening this up, I'm opening up a lane in the highway. And everything else is able to flow through with less friction, right? Traffic flows. So I make this list of 6 priorities the night before. I make it for the week of like, hey, these are the most important things. And then the night before, I make the priorities that will help accomplish those major things, right? And this is what's really interesting. Once I make that, when I wake up in the morning and I'm done with my morning routine, that is the first thing I get to work on. The very first thing I get to work on. I just go right into doing it right away. I don't waste time. Like I don't start. I used to go and do like the easy task. I go right for the hard task. And here's what's most interesting. If I don't complete, let's say by the end of the day, I was only able to accomplish 4 out of the 6. The very next day or that night when I'm making my list for the next day, guess what the first 2 things are that go back on that list? The same things that were on the list for today. Because if they were important enough to make it on the list today, that means they're supposed to be done. See, oftentimes, like we would say, well, I'll just add a new 6 on, and now tomorrow, Tuesday, I got 8, right? And then I just keep stacking. And before I know it, I have this overwhelming list, and nothing's getting done anymore, and I'm losing confidence in myself to accomplish. So I come back and I say, let's finish. And that way, that methodology has been working a lot better for me. I've been finding that I'm completing way more tasks, and the tasks I'm completing are much more important, and stress level is actually coming down more and more. And then when I'm realizing, it's forcing me to leverage who, not how, because now as I'm realizing, hey, there's still so many things that need to be done. Hey, instead of the task being Marlon, go do this, it's Marlon, go find the person who does this.
So good. So good, bro. Yo, so right, you're a 1%er, right? I'm striving on getting to that point. I can say I'm a 1%er, but you know, we had a conversation the other day, and I'm gonna be fully transparent. There's things that I need to do to tap into that 1%, right? But my question is, when you feel your energy dropping, right? Because it all happens. It happens to us sometimes, right? It happens to everybody, right? Not everybody. It's almost impossible to stay at the same frequency at all times, right? There's gonna be a time where something drops you down. What do you do? What game plan or like routine do you have to get back to where you want to be?
Yo, you want to know for real?
What's that?
No joke. All right, so I learned this from. It's gonna sound really silly, and I can't believe I'm gonna tell you guys this. I learned this from my guys like Tony Robbins and Chris Crone. Yeah. When I feel my energy dropping really low, and I'm not going to do it right now because I'm just not going to embarrass myself on this podcast. I have way too many people that are going to watch this.
Bro, this is a no judges zone, bro.
Yo, I straight up, I go and I stand when I'm lucky enough to catch myself like just getting low on energy. I go and stand in front of a mirror. I raise my hands above my head. I start jumping up and down like an idiot, and I start saying my affirmations. I am healthy, wealthy, and wise. Every day, in every way, money comes to me easily, frequently, and abundantly in ever-increasing amounts from expected and unexpected places. I am a problem solver. I'm the solution to somebody's answer, right? I just start saying these affirmations, and I jump up and down for about 2 minutes, right? It's a state change. I'm actually changing my state. Because here's the beautiful thing. There's a mind-body connection, right? So sometimes, right, in every morning when we wake up, your body wants to kind of lay there. So your mind is the one in charge that says, yo, get up. We got things to do. Start the day. Let's go. So your mind controls the body and affects the body for you to start going into action. Well, sometimes, right, the mind is the one that's like turned off. But the body is still good on energy, right? It's like 11 o'clock in the morning. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 2 p.m. You still got 8 more hours in the gas tank, right? So you know you're not done. So what you can now do is leverage the body because there's still this bridge, and you can leverage the body to jumpstart the mind, right? So it's a state change. I highly, highly recommend people do it. It will feel so silly, and that's the point. You go, you stand in front of that mirror, raise the arms above your head. You're jumping up and down 2 minutes, getting that heart beating, and you're saying those affirmations to yourself, and you're saying them nice and loud. Don't whisper them. Say them with pride. Like I try to wake the neighbors up. I try and make my roommates be like, yo, what the hell is this guy doing? And Yeah, I'll tell you, when I sit back down, I am good. Like my energy is ramped up. Like I don't drink, like when I drink coffee, for me, coffee is for fun. It is not to get the energy. Like I am getting my energy through other means. I generate my energy. I learned this again, Tony Robbins and guys like Chris Crone, like they're the ones that taught me. I pay attention to the highest achievers and I find out what they are doing.
I love that, bro. And the reality is, right? Like, I mean,
I think
right?
we
Like,
lost you to the Matrix. Yo,
what do you say?
Daryl, we lost you to the Matrix, bro.
Oh man, am I good now? Am I back?
Yeah, you're good now.
All right, now I was saying like it's so cool because we're I was reading a book about this, right? And we're chasing a feeling, right? So it's so important to always be in a state where you're feeling good, you're feeling positive, you feel how you want to feel, how you would want to feel when you have like all this stuff, right? Like you're not really chasing the money, right? You really don't want the money. You want how the money makes you feel, right? So if you can just get tap into that mindset, tap into that feeling on a regular basis, it's gonna come easily.
Bro,
Easily.
can I talk about that for a second?
Yes, please.
Hell
Okay,
yeah.
so here we go. Let's check this out. Man, Eric, shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you, man. So look at this, right? There's a book. I highly recommend this book for everyone. If anyone's a reader, if you absorb knowledge through reading books or by listening to audio, please pick up Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz because he's one of the first individuals that really brought this point home and drove this, and he changed the entire personal development industry. He changed the way we view the self, right? The way we understand self-identity, because he was one of the first people to recognize, right, and take it from a scientific standpoint that if you are not in alignment with yourself, you're going to be fighting against yourself, right? You're going to be fighting against the results you want to create. And oftentimes, like Daryl said, we think we want to create the results for the sake of like, hey, if I have the money, if I have the $20,000 a month, $30,000, $40,000 per month, I'll be set, I'll be good, right? It's like, okay, cool. Like, let's play through this thought experiment. Let's give you the money you need, right? Let's give you all that money. You earned it. It's coming in residual, so you don't have to worry about not earning it anymore. Let's give you the vacation. So you spent 6 months on a sabbatical. So you've now done that. Now you're bored of that, right? So now you're settling back into life. You've done all the things you wanted to do, right? What do you want from yourself at that point after you've done it all? Because you still got another 40, 50, 60 years ahead of you, right? You're going to start to realize that you're not really looking for any more money because your money needs to be taken care of. You got the exploration out of you. So now there's going to be a satisfaction you're looking for. There's going to be a feeling, right? You're going to be looking to achieve a feeling. Because if I told you I can give you all the money in the world and all the travel in the world, but you're going to be miserable during that process, right? You're not going to enjoy yourself. Would anyone take that? Right? The purpose of this game is to feel good. So here's the interesting thing. Here's the really cool thing. The feeling of feeling good, right? You've already felt that before. You've already experienced victories before in your life, right? Be it big victories, or be it they were associated to big events or associated to small events. The feeling in it of itself was the same feeling of ecstasy, of joy, of bliss, of peace, of all of that. So you know what that feels like. So if you understand what that feels like, recognize the feeling is actually the thing you're chasing. Well, here's a really cool thing. The feeling was created from within you. It wasn't the outer experience that created the feeling. Maybe the outer experience acted as a stimulus to show you that you have the capability of creating that feeling. However, ultimately, the factory that manufactured this cocktail of hormones and emotions and all that to give you that feeling that you are so desperate to find and achieve and get, that was an internal thing. So if that's the case, is there a way, the question I would be asking myself is there a way to reproduce these feelings on demand? And the answer is yes. Dr. Maxwell Maltz actually broke this down in his book on psycho-cybernetics, right? And he actually realized that people need to be able to understand this because they're able to do this. And when they do this, they actually begin to rewire their minds. They begin to rewire their bodies. They begin to rewire their sense of self. And the new sense of self is actually the one that goes out into the world and achieves and does the thing, creating a positive feedback loop where this now gets easier and easier and easier. And if we think about it, and I'm sorry if I'm going too far into this, but like this stuff gets
Bro, go as far as you want, bro.
So check this out, right? If we look at what makes a person, what creates their identity, oftentimes it's going to be their experiences and memories, right? You know, if I grew up in a certain household and I watched my dad abuse my mom and my brother and sisters fight and my neighbors were just constantly bickering, those sort of memories and experiences will begin to affect me, right? They're going to leave traumatic memories, traumatic emotions inside of me. Here's the interesting thing about memories. Memories are similar to like imagined futures, right? They're made up inside of our mind because it's our perspective of the events. That's what our memories are. Our memories are our personal, subjective perspective of what occurred, right? We assigned a certain meaning. Hey, when I saw my brother punch that guy in the face, it meant this to me. When I saw my dad say this to my mom, it meant this to me. When the teacher told me I got an F on my test, it meant this to me, right? We now started to associate it to our identity. We started to create an emotion around it, a meaning around it. Cool thing is we can artificially create memories. We can rewrite memories. We can go back and change what they mean to us. And by doing so, we actually begin to reshape our identity. We can actually start to cause what used to be traumatic triggers for emotional happiness, right? For good feelings. So I don't even think we're going to have enough time to dive fully into this, but I'm going to give people a very simple 3-step process for them to try on their own, right? And I didn't know we were going to go here with the conversation. So like,
hold on, real quick. If y'all are watching, make sure y'all get a pen and paper and write this down. Bro, I got mine. I found any piece of paper that was next to me and I started writing notes, bro. So
Actually, what you should really do if you're not watching this on Instagram Live, you should open up your IG story and write these things down and tag Marlon.
That's facts.
We're streaming live on IG right now too. So check this out, right? I really want people to understand this. And what I'm about to say and what I'm going to tell you, right? These are instructions. This is not something for you to nod your head with and agree or disagree with right now, right? Unless you're already doing it and you already know it works for yourself. This is instruction right now, which means it's meant to be implemented, not just intellectually understood. You're going to realize, again, read the book Psycho-Cybernetics. There are certain things that we read for entertainment and just intellectual stimulation. And then there are certain things that we read for instruction. This is an instruction manual. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a time and space for yourself. Give yourself 15 minutes, 30 minutes, however much time you can steal away. At the very least, I would say give yourself a 30-minute window. This is going to take practice. Do not expect to be amazing in monk sage mode on day one. You're going to go and find a comfortable place to be, and you are going to relax. You can be sitting in a chair. You can be laying down. The position you're in is totally up to you. Find whatever position you're able to be relaxed in. Because here's what we need you to do. We need you to actually begin to release the tension from your body. And a very simple way to do this is to actually just imagine, right? Close your eyes and begin to imagine that small parts of your body are relaxing. Imagine your toes are relaxing, your legs are relaxing, your quads are relaxing, and just tell it, mentally give it the command. Legs, relax. Arms, relax. Back, relax. Neck, and just go through your entire body. And as much as you can relax, that's good enough. You might be thinking, oh, I'm still a little too tense. No. If you're more relaxed than you began, you're relaxed enough. You will continue to learn to relax more and more. Once you get to that point of your full relaxation, you're going to begin to imagine yourself in a new scenario, right? You're going to use your imagination to create a custom character. and put yourself in any scenario that you wish. The scenario ultimately doesn't matter. It can be, hey, I'm going to be in a scenario when I go to work tomorrow, I'm not going to allow the people to talk negative around me. I'm just going to say something about, hey, you know what, guys, like, let's change the topic. I'm going to ask my boss for a raise. I'm going to present my new idea, right? I'm going to start the business, right? Whatever it is that you've been thinking about wanting to do, right? I'm going to go sign up for skydiving. Begin to just see yourself doing this, right? Totally fictional, made up story in your mind. If you're wanting to ask someone on a date, see yourself just approaching them and asking them or sending them a text message or giving them the phone call. And as you begin to imagine this, try to imagine it with as much vivid detail as possible. Try to see what's going on around you, right? As you're texting, right? How much battery is on your cell phone? How does the phone feel in your hand? Are you standing in your room? Right? Look around, look for details. It's really important. The reason we're looking for details is because our minds cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. So what I'm doing here is I'm teaching you how to give yourself free memories, right? You don't actually have to do a thing to get the memory of doing the thing. And if we recognize that the memories ultimately affect us in such a major way, if we understand that our memories, our childhood memories, affect us as adults in such major ways, why don't we start to create? Because you have that ability to create new memories, and you can store as many memories. Like, your cloud does not run out of data, right? Like, they're not going to hit you and say, like, hey, you need to start deleting things. You can store as many as you want. So step 2 is going to be creating that memory, creating that imagined situation. And although it's a future situation, you can actually log that future situation because you determine where it goes in the hard drive, and you can put it in the past as a memory. You can put a future situation that has never happened in the past as a memory for you to use as a benefit. Now, this is where it gets really cool. After you do this, step 3, you're going to go and you're actually going to remember now a memory that's already there, that you already have, where you were successful, where you won, where you experienced victory, where you experienced joy. And here's the beautiful thing. It does not matter the size of the occurrence. In other words, it could be as simple as, hey, I remember that time in the 2nd grade when I first got 100 on my spelling test, and I brought it home and my parents were really proud. And it felt so good to have their admiration, to have that the class, give me claps, and the teacher put a gold star on the paper. Because remember, we're going now for a feeling.
Yeah.
So let's see what happened. I think you guys lost my camera there.
We lost your camera, bro.
Yeah, let me see what happened. Let me see if I can switch it over. It's coming right back. Let's go. So we want to go to a place where we have a memory of success, memory of a feeling. And what we're really going back there for is, I want to feel that feeling again. So go to something that's easy for you, right? Just ask yourself, hey, when's the last time I felt success? And just see whatever memory comes up. Something's going to come up. Don't look for it too hard. Just ask yourself, and your brain will find that file for you. It will get you that file. Take that file, feel it. Now that you have this emotion, right, you have this feeling, right? Like for me, like one of the easiest things I remember is the first time I learned how to do a heel flip on my skateboard. I just remembered being so excited, like I finally did it. So I take that feeling of like, I did it, I won, I accomplished. I don't care who saw it, like I saw it, I know what I did. And I take that feeling now and I go back into step 2. I go back to that memory I just created. And at first it was in black and white. Now I'm going to color it with this emotion, right? So I'm actually borrowing the emotion from another memory, and I'm actually layering it on top of this new memory I just created. And when you do this, you now have just stored a new memory in there for your mind to work with, that it's going to pick up on automatically the way it's already picking up on all your other memories. You begin to do this enough times with enough focus, with enough like, hey, I'm looking to create this sort of person out of myself. What will happen is you will see your identity starts to change, right? There are certain parts about my identity that you can't come in there and break it, because I've built up so much reinforcement behind it that you cannot tell me I'm not that person. So now I'm actively building up my 1%er. Actively, like I already know I'm a 1%er. You guys are you're getting to watch. And not just you guys, like not Mike and Daryl, but the world. I'm allowing the world to watch. I'm giving the world the honor to watch me reinforce my castle, to bulletproof my mind, to bulletproof my identity until I choose to create a new one. So I would highly recommend that you don't intellectually take this on, but you actually implement and you actually do this. And you, at the very least, give it 21 days of consistently doing this, right? And you don't have to do it all day, all night. Like, it's not, don't stop the rest of your life. Do not quit your day job. Go and make 30 minutes for yourself. If you can't make 30 minutes, make 15 minutes. If you can't make 15 minutes, make 5 minutes. If you can't make 5 minutes, you got a serious problem. You don't have a life. If you can't make 5 minutes, you're not in control of your life. And we really need to do this. Maybe you do need to quit your day job if you can't make 5 minutes for yourself. So I hope that helps. I really, really hope that helps. You know, I felt the need to say every word.
Marlon, explain it a little bit more. What happens when we have those feelings? Just like on the opposite end, when you have a negative feeling, there's something chemically that happens.
Ooh, bro, that's so good. Okay, so there is a chemical response. There's a biological, physiological response that happens where certain hormones are being released, right? When we're having these negative thoughts, like we're releasing negative hormones or releasing cortisol into the bloodstream, like you're actually breaking your body down. Like your body actually begins to break itself down. Your body goes into a fear-based mode and it goes into a survival mode. And in survival mode, when survival mode kicks in, listen, you can't do your highest level thinking from survival mode because it's already been predetermined for you that the goal here is to survive. Your goal is preset for you. As humans, we have the ability to create any goal we want. However, when we're in survival mode, see, you can't serve, there's a saying, you can't serve two masters at once, right? You can't really chase two separate goals that are moving in different directions at once. It's trying to chase two rabbits. So when we start to build in these new memories, right? When we start to actually get ourselves to that place of creating the new identity, we go back into an identity. Ideally, if this is the one we create, we can now go into an identity of security, an identity of abundance, an identity of faith, right? An identity where we're not worried. From there, the mind can actually think on a higher level. This is why a lot of people, Mike, will start to have some of their best like epiphanies and moments in the shower, right? Because most people associate, well, when I'm in the shower, when I'm in the bathroom, this is the place the world can't get me. The world, like pretty much the whole world universally respects when a person goes into the bathroom, right? Like who comes in and like starts bothering the boss while he's like on the toilet? Who bothers you like why? Unless you got little kids, for the most part, the rest of the world leaves you alone once you enter a bathroom and you close the door. So now you're in a place where you can't be touched. And now your mind is free to do what it does. It's free to imagine. It's free to think at a higher level. So as we create these new identities, right, we're now starting to release endorphins into our body, serotonin into our body, into our bloodstream, right? We're now at a place of peace and relaxation. It's a much, much better place to operate from. If you don't believe me, I challenge people to do this. Go on vacation and spend a good like 5 days to a week at an all-inclusive like hotel or resort or something. You're going to realize the way you think, your thought process will be different when you feel that everything is already taken care of, when you feel that like you're good, you know, the staff's got you, like you don't have to worry, like things aren't going to get messed up. Your brain is going to be thinking at a higher level. You can artificially recreate those moments in your current situation right now. And this is what the wealthiest in the world do. This is what the people that are high achievers do, right? This is actually, you know, all of us, we have the same mentor, Pace Morby, right? He's getting ready to do a challenge where he actually goes out. He kept saying like, hey, put me on a park bench and I'll be able to recreate all of like my business, my success, because he understands internally he's created an identity. He's created a story for himself of who he is. So it's not that the outside circumstance matters as much as the internal factory. So his internal factory is still the same. He didn't change his internal blueprint. So the internal blueprint will recreate the outer experience.
Bro, that's so good, bro. And it's crazy because I feel like whenever I'm learning something and like reading about something, it comes in multiple different forms, right? Like I'm reading Ed Milet's new book, The Power of One More, right? And he talks about that in the very first chapter. He talks about your identity, right? And what he talks about is having an internal thermostat, right? And what he says is if you're neutrally at 75 degrees, right? And this is big because you always talk about this, right? You always talk about like the campfire, right? You were just talking about earlier keeping the promises you make to yourself, right? That's number one, right? Keeping the promises you make to yourself. And he was saying like it's actually kind of silly when you think about it, right? Because if you're not keeping the promises you make to yourself, the only person you're fighting and letting down is yourself. Right? Like you're really fighting yourself, and nobody else is going to be affected. I mean, people are going to be affected, right? People who care about you, your people who depend on you, they'll be affected, but not like you will be, right?
And the Matrix got him again.
My bad, my bad.
There we
My
go. He's
bad.
back.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. But he's talking about right. If you're at 75 degrees, right, your goal is to get to 100 degrees. You can't hang out with people who are at 50 degrees, right? You need to be with people who are at 100 all day because they're gonna pull you up. They're gonna force you to be like them and do things on their level, right? And if they don't, you're gonna force yourself because why would you want to sit there and continue to be the person that's not aligned with everybody else that you're hanging out with, right? So just having that identity and just raising your internal thermostat is super super good, bro. Like I'm glad you hit on that.
Marlon, here's what you just did for me, bro. You just turned on a light bulb in my head. When you were talking about vacation and how being on vacation allows you to just think freely because everything's taken care of, it put me in a place of my business right now. My business, a lot of my business depends on me. So I put myself in the shoes of, hey, what if Mike didn't have to worry about all that stuff in his business? He didn't have to worry about closing people. He didn't have to worry about doing all the knick-knack things that he's doing right now. And I've scaled out a little bit. Like I'm starting to scale out, building a team, right? But there's still things I'm still working physically in the business like 4 to 5 hours a day. And I put myself in the position to think about, okay, what happens if Mike was essentially on vacation in his business? He would come up with some cool shit. And bro, this whole entire week I've been working my ass off like I do every week. And I haven't been as I haven't had the chance to be super super creative this week because I've been working like a dog. So when in your week, I know you said that you do your little thing with managing those 6 things every day.
Mm-hmm.
But when during that day do you have a creative moment?
Man, Mike, that's such a good question. So really, like it's so funny because we were just talking about this earlier this week, part of the morning mindset calls, and I am part of the Go Giver Mastermind, which shout out to Brandon Simmons out here in Arizona, who is he's an amazing go giver, an amazing investor. He has brought together just some absolute beast and animals of human beings that like these guys are just crushing it on all fronts, life, business, and all. And this Wednesday we were all together, right? We had our mastermind, our monthly mastermind meetup, and we were speaking about this concept of hustle. Hustle is not a operating system; it's a season, right? There's a season to hustle. There's a season to be the guy in there doing everything, plowing the field, planting the seed, watering the garden. Like that's a season of life that we all have to do. But ultimately, a lot of us treat it as an operating system. So our business runs on hustle. So for myself, right, where do I find the time to unplug and get those creative thoughts? Well, it's just like what you and Daryl said, right? I will unplug and plug into bigger campfires. Like that's my opportunity. So like when I go to the Go Giver Mastermind, guys, like I am literally like if the Go Giver Mastermind's a totem pole, like I am that totem at the bottom in the dirt. Like my face is all in the dirt holding up the rest of the totem, right? Being pulled up by the rest of the individuals inside there, right? So I'm borrowing their creative energy, their creative juice. I look to put myself in those sort of rooms. It used to be like once a month or once a quarter. Now it's as often as humanly possible. If I see the opportunity to be in a room like that, to go grab dinner with somebody, right? On Sunday night, I sat down and I had dinner with Logan, Jacob, and Luciano, and we sat in that restaurant for about 3 hours brainstorming. I have my podcast. My podcast is first and foremost to give value to the community, to give value to the world by putting amazing people in front of them. And then for myself, selfishly, it's an opportunity for me to mastermind with high-level individuals. It's a chance and opportunity for me to dive deeply into their minds and stimulate my own imagination and my own thinking, right? So I make the time for that through those means of I want to live a little bit about what Pace taught us, like this law of duality, right? How can I do one thing and also have it double as taking care of a few other things? So when I go to those masterminds, I'm learning for myself. I'm also building relationships, and I'm also bringing back home really valuable information for my personal business. When I have the podcast, I'm creating content, I'm building relationships, and I'm also stimulating my imagination and my thought for those creative thoughts. On the days where I'm not able to plug into other campfires, I solved that problem as well. I created my own campfire, right? In the morning mindset coffee calls, right? Daryl was talking about that earlier in the morning. The link's right there on the bottom. Appreciate that, Daryl, right? Those morning mindset coffee calls were because I understood getting into entrepreneurship. It was a challenge because I found myself doing it alone. I found myself having to separate from everybody in my current space because, look, successful entrepreneurs really only make up about 1 to 5% of the population, right? And when I say successful, I'm talking at like a high level. I'm talking more than mom and pop. You know what? Successful business owners, right? Because most people believe they're business owners, but they're actually self-employed, right? And there's nothing wrong with being self-employed. They haven't established systems yet, meaning like us, they can't fully pull themselves out of their business for 6 months at a time and be able to walk back into the business and see that it actually grew in their absence. Most people have not gotten there. That is a very small percentage of the population. So as an entrepreneur, as someone becoming that business owner and that high level sophisticated investor, right, you're going to be on a journey where oftentimes you're going to find that it is hard to relate to the people that are in your current proximity because you have not yet established that new network. Well, I got tired of being alone. I got tired of sitting in my room by myself. And Maurice and I, my partner in that, who co-founded it with me, we created the Morning Mindset Coffee Calls, right? Every day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. It's a group of entrepreneurs getting together on the Zoom. In fact, you're both in it, so I know you both know about it, right? We get together and we're talking mindset. We're talking next level thinking. We're getting ourselves primed. So I do that in the morning. Like that's my time for creativity. I get myself primed, right? It's like warming up the muscles. So for me, those morning mindset calls are warming up the muscles, and the real work begins immediately after I leave the call, because then I sit there and it's still, for me, I'm waking up early. It's 4 a.m. to 5. So at 5 a.m., I now have time to sit down silent. I can sit in the pause. I can exist in the pause, and I can allow my mind to work. I can allow my mind to create. I can allow my mind to build. I can speak to God. For me, that's really important. I sit down and I make quiet time to speak to God, right? And I come back to source, right? Because I don't need any more resources. I just need to be connected to the source. Like, why would I want the resources if the source is producing everything? So I'm going to go connect to the source, and that's where the creativity will flow. So I hope that answers the question on essentially where I'm going to, like how I'm coming up with the creative ideas, where they're coming from, right? It's not necessarily always coming from me. It is, and it isn't at the same time, if that makes sense. But I create that space for it because, again, that's part of the morning ritual. So it all loops back around.
I love it. I love what you said about God too. Just in the past few weeks, I'm writing down on the end of my goals, me and God are co-creating this life together. And essentially, he's the integrator.
Bro.
He's the puppeteer, just making the things happen. Love it, bro. Daryl, what do you got? Oh, by the way, really quick. How much time do both of you guys have?
Bro, I got all morning when I'm in good company, dog.
Daryl, what about you?
I got time.
We got time today, baby.
We got time
today.
Yo,
my G's like, we got time.
We got time. Yeah. So Marlon, you were born with this mindset, right? Like you were like since a child, this is exactly how you were thinking your whole life, right?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I was actually raised in the Himalayas on top of the mountain. We would spend 14 hours a day meditating. Nah, bro, not at all, man. Like, oh my gosh, like I honestly don't think that my younger self. I'm actually grateful you asked that question, Daryl, because I think if my younger self met my current self, my younger self would be proud and impressed and would want to become like who I am currently. And especially if I told them like, hey, we're not even done yet. Like we still got places to go. I genuinely believe that I would be proud of who I am based off of where I came from because I've come a really long way. Coming up, I'll just share with you because a lot of us like we met on this journey, but because we're of like mind and like frequencies, we're new old friends, right? Like it feels like we've been friends since like the sandbox, right? I feel that way about you, Mike. I feel that way about you, Daryl. Like the people that we meet when you're in alignment with yourself, the people you meet, they're instantly, you're just going to have that feeling of, wow, this person, I'm going to be seeing this person for a very long time, or probably the rest of my life. So growing up, I was a quiet young man, right? Like I had a lot of insecurities. I used to get like bullied and picked on. So I wasn't very outgoing. I wasn't very confident. I didn't really believe in myself. I wasn't great at like team sports and things of that nature. So I didn't exist inside of groups as like the person that wanted to be the center of attention. In fact, I didn't like attention because I was always so worried I was going to screw things up that I didn't want people to watch me screw things up. So I was, kind of seen and never heard. Like I'd be there in the room, just kind of in the corner, quietly observing. Right. And I'm grateful for that time because through observation, I've actually become really good at just understanding and watching other people and figuring out why they do things. And just, I learned how to serve people. I learned how to see what their problem was. And, I would be able to come up with solutions in my mind for them because I was just watching everybody. I was just seeing cause and effect. So I was just a silent observer who was very much, I lived in my head. Like that's where I lived. I lived in my head. And I wasn't very in touch with my feelings either. So when things would frustrate me, I wouldn't communicate it. I'd just bottle it up until, I would just get myself into these little dark down spirals where now I'm just really almost like depressed, not really depressed, but just walking around mopey. Like I was putting myself in a bad mood and staying in the bad mood because it felt comfortable. It felt familiar. So not like the person you're seeing today. And I recognized at some point, and it's funny, right? It was actually as I graduated high school, this is when it clicked for me. Like this, when people see the version I am now, right, where mindset started to become important for me was upon graduating high school. So when I graduated high school, my high school superlative, you guys like know about like high school superlatives, the like most likely to succeed, most likely to become like a fireman, things of that nature. My high school superlative.
Hold on. We got Dow. Can you guess?
I can't, bro. I can't because I only know this version of Marlon, so I can't. I would say something that is probably going to be wrong.
All right, go ahead.
Y'all don't want to guess? There you go. Because it's kind of funny. Because like, and I'll share. Like as like I got into high school, like I did start getting a little bit better about like making friends and like being a little bit more outgoing and things of that nature. However, I still had parts of me that were still like the old identity, that young, quiet man. So my high school superlative, believe it or not, and anyone that knows me from high school is like, bro, like it's really easy to believe, was moodiest. Right? Like my peers saw me as a moody young man. Like that's how my school saw me. That's how like the people that interacted with me every day, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on the weekends, like they saw me as just a moody person. And like I kind of took it serious. Like I didn't like, I wasn't crying about it, but I did question, wow, like everybody thinks I'm moody. Like they all in unison agreed to this, like so much so that it is now ingrained in this yearbook for the rest of eternity as, because when you're in high school, that is eternity right there. So upon graduation, during that summer, I had time to sit and reflect. Everybody was going away for college and going here and there. I actually went to my local community college, and just about nobody was going there. So I was pretty much like the only person going to my local community college. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going to see anybody I knew from high school. At this college, no one's going to know who I am. I want to reinvent myself. I want to recreate myself. And this was just purely like an internal thought experiment. I said, I don't want to be moody anymore. I don't want to be pissed off anymore. I don't want to be upset about nothing and walk around in a bad mood all day and just hold myself in that bad mood. Is it possible to just be a happy person? I just want to be a happy person. And I made up my mind, you know what? I'm just going to be a happy person. And get this, I actually committed to it so much that I actually created the new name for myself. And it wasn't like I made up a brand new name. I have a middle name. My middle name is Ashton. So I actually said, you know what? I'm going to introduce myself as Ashton, right? And Ashton isn't going to get upset, right? So that was my thought process entering into college as a freshman, that I'm just going to be someone that is always in a positive mood, who's happy. And I tried to introduce myself as Ashton for like a week, and then people were like, hey, what's your name? Marlon. Like I just kept, accidentally putting my real name out there. So I was like, all right, well, you still got to be Marlon, but I'm still going to be happy. I'm not going to let things bother me. And what was really interesting, Mike, is maybe 3 or 4 months in, something had happened, like something drastic happened, and like it didn't bother me. And somebody made like a comment of like, wow, like I can't believe that's not bothering you. And I was like, yeah, like I don't get upset. And then it occurred to me, I was like, wait a second. I just realized I haven't had a bad day since high school. Like legitimately, I have not had like an upset day since high school. And it wasn't that bad things weren't happening. It wasn't that like hard things weren't happening to me and things were always going my way. I just no longer took the perspective that it was bad. Like it just rolled off my back. And it was a genuine thing. And I realized I did it. Like the experiment worked, right? Like I'm actually not bothered. And if something does almost bother me, I don't stay in that state for more than maybe 2 minutes or so. It's a very quick snapback. So that got me curious as to what just happened, right? Like I really began getting curious as to like how this change occurred and what else I can do, right? What else can I become? What else can I make myself turn into? And I was fortunate enough at the time I had a boss / mentor, the guy that owned this gym that I started working and teaching parkour out of. He handed me the book, or he recommended me go pick up the book. I went to Barnes & Noble and got it, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. And, as I read that book, it explained everything that had happened to me. It explained it. So since then, since around the age I was about 19 years old when that happened, I've been absolutely obsessed with personal development, with this understanding of myself, with reinventing myself. I reinvented myself as a parkour athlete at 19 years old. When I found out about that, I became a professional parkour athlete. I became a professional coach, coaching over 1,000 students. I ran the largest facility in the U.S. that I dreamed of being at Camp Woodward. That came from reinventing myself. And now I've reinvented myself to be an entrepreneur, to be a podcast host, right? To be a 1%er. And I'm in process of continuing to build that reinvented self right now.
It's an everyday journey, bro.
Every day, bro.
Every day. So good.
So I gotta ask Marlon. When you were grumpy Marlon in high school, there had to have been some fucked up shit that happened before high school.
Interestingly enough, here's the funny thing, and this is why like it hit me so much to change. There wasn't. I mean, like there were little things here and there. Yeah, like me and my brother didn't quite get along, and dude, the challenge was I spent too much time by myself as a kid. I spent I was like both my parents worked, fantastic parents. I had great parents, but both of them were working all the time. My grandma raised me when she was around, when she was back in the country and she had the chance. So she was absolutely amazing. But my parents didn't really believe in hanging out on school days. So it's after school, I would have to come straight home. I didn't play sports. And I would just have to sit there and do my homework, and then after I finished my homework, I had to do like extra work. Like my parents would make me read the newspaper and like write reports for them that like needed to be ready by the time they got home. So I had to like present to them like, hey, this is what I read in like the newspaper, and here's what it like. I write like summaries on it. Hated that kind of stuff, but ultimately it left a lot of time for me. And like there was no TV and video games on the weekdays. Period. Like legitimately at one point, like actually like we unplugged cable from my house until I think I was like 13 or 14 years old. So the TVs in the house were literally connected to nothing. So a lot of time alone, and with that, I was just again in my own head, and I never really learned how to process like emotions either. So it's like when I would start to get these uncomfortable emotions, I had this little. You guys are getting deep right now with me. Right now, I would have this little door in the back of my mind when I would have like emotions that I didn't know how to process. And I'd open that mental door, shove the emotions in, and close it. And I actually forgot about that until a few years ago. Like I forgot I even used to do that thing because I re-encountered that door later on in life, and processed some stuff through that, which like got me in touch with my emotions. So like you're talking about like a young man that's just in his head all day long, really bad at communicating with people, just unwilling to feel uncomfortable. Anytime I'd feel uncomfortable, I'd go back to the corner. So I didn't stay in discomfort too long. And the only person, like the people in my house, like my siblings, we didn't really like get along all that well. So we're all in our own room, in our own space. So when it came time to analyze, as I'm now like 19 years old, getting ready to reinvent myself, and analyze why are you so pissed off all the time? Like what's so wrong about your life? This was the messed up part. As an intellectual young man, I couldn't find a logical answer. There was no answer. The only answer was you're just choosing to be upset, which was even dumber. So now I felt stupid for choosing to be upset for no reason. Because if I had at least had a reason, if I could at least say like, oh man, like my parents are fighting in the house all the time, or like this happened, and I could have something to blame. There was no one to blame. Like I was looking for somebody to blame, and the only person that kept popping up was the only person I ever spent time with. It was me. So with that, it was like, well, if I'm the one to blame, that also means I'm the solution. So that's how I took it. Like that's how I changed that was the thought process. Like, that's why the experiment was able to work, because I took ownership.
Because you were lonely as shit.
Bro, lonely as hell, dog. Lonely, bro. Like that's why I'm so obsessed with people, man. Like that's why I'm so obsessed with creating community and like making sure people feel important. Like it's actually become a superpower for me, because now it's very easy for me to connect with people because I know what it feels like to be lonely. So when I go to connect with people, I go to create true, genuine connection. I mean, you guys have felt it. Like I know, Mike, when you and I have sat down at dinner and when we've sat down in person, like there's a real, genuine connection. When we're in Vegas, like there's a real, genuine connection. Like it's a vibe, right? Daryl's the same thing. There's a vibe. Like I'm present for people. I'm in the moment with you. Like we are there experiencing life at the same time together. Not just because I've been in the room, guys, and like I say this nowadays, like I have a lot of acquaintances, but I don't necessarily consider everybody a friend, right? Because we might be in the same room. I've been lonely in a room full of people that would call themselves my friend.
Yeah.
Because we're just existing in the same space, but we're not on the same frequency. Right?
Bro, well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, bro.
Nah, I was just gonna say I relate to that so much, bro. Not just like you said, right? Like in a room full of people, but you're still lonely, right? Still alone. And when I don't think it hit me as much when I was in high school and college because I played sports, right? Like so that's how I took my emotions out playing football, right? I would just hit somebody really hard, and that's how I got my emotions out, right? So it's really hard when you're not talking to somebody and like just expressing yourself or even just making that choice, right? To just choose to be happy, right? And it hit me when I was done playing football. And I remember I came into one of Elena's mindset Zooms, and I had shared that like it's really hard for me to express my emotions. It's almost impossible for me to express my emotions, right? Like when something goes wrong, I just go work, right?
Yep.
Like I don't talk about it. I don't try to fix it. I just go work, right? And I can see how that had an effect on you, especially like just not doing anything like I mean, yeah, you parkour and you skateboard and stuff like that, but I don't think were you doing that in high school?
Well, I was doing skateboarding in high school, and funny enough, like that for me was like a part of my escape. Like that was like where I could express. You
Right.
know, that's why like, and I didn't realize it in the moment, but like in hindsight, that's why I was so like addicted to it, because it was like the only place I felt like I can actually let parts of me out.
Yeah. So good, bro.
So yeah,
Yeah, that was dangerous, Daryl, for what you were going through. That was dangerous for me. Like, bro, when I hit high school, I found football. Well, no, I played football my whole life, but I found working out for football, and I hit everything in that. I be in the weights. I hit everything in this mind under those freaking weights. And it wasn't probably until like 23, 24 years old until I lifted them weights up and started figuring out what the fuck was wrong with me.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to release stuff. But Marlon, it's interesting, bro. In high school and stuff, you were this lonely ass dude because of the energy that you were bringing off. All of a sudden, you switched that, and in college, I guarantee you probably had 20, 40, 50 times more friends than you did in high school because you were attracting different people. You're attracting good energy. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I definitely started to attract more people, no question about it. And what was really interesting was I was, pretty shy, so it's like it was hard. I didn't like talking to going up and walking up to strangers. And at college, like I know nobody, and yet I was constantly making friends with like people. Like people like just I would go into the class and like people would want to be my friends, right? And again, this is a part of actually like my identity. I was just explaining this to a friend of mine yesterday that I'm very consciously aware that my identity is a part of my identity is that when I walk into a room, I put off an energy, I put off a vibration that is attractive. It's magnetic to most people that are in frequency with it. And it's like a good frequency that matches with a majority of people. If there's anything positive in you, whatever is in you that's positive is going to be attracted and pulled to the surface. And for most people, when you're able to pull their positive traits up to the surface and help them be aware of it, they like you for that. So they're going to want to get closer to you, right? So that I'm very aware when I go into a room, I'm doing that. I'm putting off that energy to bring that to the surface. So whether they consciously understand why they're attracted to me or not, that's why they want to come closer. So I started to, of course, grow and have more friends through college and just through life. A lot of people say it's so hard to make friends outside of, school. Outside of school and outside of work, people struggle to make friends. Not an issue. Like I don't have that same sentiment. I don't struggle with that. But simply because I took the time to get to know myself and get to purposefully create the person that making friends is easy for me. And it's not only is it easy, it's also crucial for me, right? It's crucial that I have people to connect with because, again, it came from this desperation of I don't want to go back to being lonely, right? Like I've had moments in my life, and we're not going to have enough time to get into it today. But I've had moments in my life where I've been lonelier than like words can even describe, right? And I wouldn't wish that on anybody, man. Like I really wouldn't, so I make it a mission. Like if I walk into a room and I go to a party and I see like there's one person in the corner that no one's talking to, like I make it a point to go over and go interact with that person because I know what it's like to be that person. And it's not a good feeling. And we're really just wishing somebody would come over and, we want to participate. We're just too scared to start. We're too scared to step in, yeah.
It's really interesting because I was literally just talking to Keston at an hour before the podcast, and we were talking, and I think there's a big difference there is a big difference between being lonely and alone, right? Because I think you need to be alone at a lot of times, right? You need to be you need to be comfortable being alone with yourself. This is exactly what Keston was telling me. So I'm preaching what he just taught to me, right? Like you need to be comfortable being alone and making yourself happy, right? Because if you can't, then you're gonna rely on the outside world to make you happy, and that's not where happiness comes from, right? So I actually think it was important for you to go through that phase of you being alone in high school and you being by yourself because you brought yourself out of that, right? Like it wasn't like you had externals bring you out of that mood. You learned how to bring yourself out of that. You learned how to make yourself happy, And now that's super, super important because now you're super comfortable being alone, right? Like I watched you, bro. Like when we were at Clever, and I mean, it sounds a little weird saying this, but I seen like I watched you just like walking around the room, right? Everybody else, I seen a lot of people, a lot of sub 2 students gathered around with each other, but Marlon, you were very intentional. You were by yourself, and you were just. It seemed like you were just on a mission, right? Like you were on a mission. You're just standing there, just scanning the room, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's super, super comfortable being alone, and he's on a mission, right? So I think like just looking back at hearing about your past, that's actually a blessing, bro. I think it's a blessing just going through that and you learning that at a young age, because a lot of people these days do not know how to just be alone, bro, and be happy by themselves.
Yeah, no, and I love that differentiation, man. Like the difference between being alone and being lonely, because I absolutely agree. It's an important skill set to be alone, right?
Yeah.
And you're able to create true intention for yourself, right? Like you're able to decide, what do I want? So you're absolutely right. Like when I was at like events and things of that nature, right? Like I go there and like I'm not afraid to unplug from the crowd, right? Because I know the crowd will be there whenever I want to reassimilate. So I now get purposeful. And it's similar to what we spoke about, right? When we know all of our needs will be met and we already know how to meet those needs, we can start thinking on a higher level on what do I want to create. But if my old self was a fear-based, like I was afraid, right? Afraid of, if I leave the circle, will the circle let me back in? Well, screw that. I can create the circle. I don't need to be let back into the circle. Right? So we make our own circles now.
I love that. If you could go back to that kid that was lonely in high school, and you see yourself now, right? What would you say to yourself?
Good question, bro.
That is a good question. And it's something I've thought about this before, man, like where it's like, I'm almost like afraid to say anything to myself because like, I love who I am now. So I'm like, I'd be afraid to change, the sequence of events. That would, like, I want to be who I am. If I was talking to someone else, though, if I was talking to like a friend or like another person, and I could go back, I would just remind them and let them know and like get them to really see and understand. What I would hope is I'd be able to get them to understand that you are a one of one, right? Like you are literally, you're actually the most unique thing in this universe, that nothing else was made like you. Nothing else will ever be made like you, right? You are so crazy valuable with all your uniqueness, all the things that make you different. Those are actually what make you special, right? Lean into that, right? Live into that. If you can understand this and like you can stay true to you, right now, the world may not necessarily appreciate it, but keep staying true to you, because later on, everyone else around you is going to keep changing to keep up with someone else or something else that they aren't. But because you're leaning into you and you're walking your own path and you're creating your own light, what's going to happen is down the road, one, you're going to just internally be way happier. And two, you're going to find all the people that were hating on you now, they're going to come back and they're going to be asking you for advice. So you're going to be able to be the person that's capable of helping them, showing them a path because you've already walked it. So I guess I would say that to myself back then too, because I don't think that would change me. I think I would hear that advice. I would store it for later. Later on, like it would pop back up when it was necessary.
I love that, bro. Because the reality is, right, we're all the main character in our own lives, right? And I think about that a lot, right? Like you're the main character, so you can choose whether you want to be the star or if you want to be a role player, right? So that's big, bro. Stay
I
true
love
to you.
that, bro. I would walk up to young Mike, grab him by the shoulder, and say, "Bro, it's gonna be okay. You're good." However, what you said, Marlon, where you were like, I wouldn't want to change the directory of my life. I don't know, man. I was just thinking about it. I was weighing both options. I was like, well, what if I met you guys freaking when I was 18 years old? I'd be in a I would be in a better position than I would be now. And with that being, I mean, at the end of the day, maybe I wouldn't have met my girlfriend, or maybe I wouldn't have met certain people, right? If who knows with the directory, like you're saying. But what I'm saying is, I would like to go back and implement Marlon and Daryl in my life back when I was 18 years old. Because I know if I did, the trajectory would only go up north.
1,000%.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny, man. This almost makes you want to have a deep conversation around this, because, I've thought about this so heavily, right? And I've seen where. So remember, I used to coach, right? I used to coach parkour. I used to coach kids, and I had a lot of parents that had great intention for their kids, right? Like, hey, I want to put these kids around, certain people. I want to put them around certain environments so that they can get it, so they can have all the things I never had. And the kids themselves weren't ready for it. So although the intention was the right thing, the timing was off, right? So now, what ends up happening is this thing that actually has the potential to be really amazing for them, they're resistant to it because it came before its time.
Yeah.
And that always got me to recognize everything happens at the right time for the right reason, right? Like when I've met certain people, for example, we all know each other now, right? But what if all of us met during our stupid years? Right? What if
stupid things?
we even done some dumb stuff together? It'd be like, yo, Mike and Daryl, nah, I can't chill with them. Nah, they get me in the trouble.
Yeah, Daryl would have been a problem, bro.
So we meet at the right times. That's why I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to change anything.
I love that though. That is interesting. Bradley always has a question on his podcast, and it's, would you rather, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think it's, would you rather work for $10 million or just receive $50 million or something like that as a gift?
Give me the money.
And Bradley says, give me the money. Maybe. Here's how I thought about it, right? Back, if you gave me $50 million back at 18 years old, it would have been an issue. Now, Bradley does say, dude, take the money. You don't need to have an ego attached to that money. You don't have to really work for that money. If it's going to give it to you, take the money and use it for good use. Makes sense. But if it happened at the wrong time in my life, I would have fucking blew that money on. I wouldn't be here. I probably wouldn't. But what are your thoughts on that, bro?
Yeah, it's funny because I agree with Bradley, where it's I think it's a timing thing, right? And I agree with you, where now that I know what I know, I would actually say, yeah, give me the 50 mil, right? No ifs, ands, or buts about it, because I already know I have the ability to work hard. If I didn't have a work ethic and I had never worked for anything in my life, then I would say, you know what? I need the work because the work has more than $50 million worth of value, because I need to cultivate that, right? So I would say, give me the money, because it's not about how much money you get. It's about what you do with the money you have, right? So I would absolutely say, I'm taking 50 mil, personally, right now, for where I'm at an earlier stage in my life. If I were making decisions for myself from my current state for earlier stages, there definitely would have been a stage where I was just like, oh, 18-year-old Marlon, nah, make his ass work. 19-year-old Marlon, nah, make his ass work. 20-year-old Marlon, nah, he needs to work, right? At some point, maybe around the age of 24, 25, I would say, give him the money, but maybe not all at once. Actually, honestly, man, I wouldn't have given myself the money until maybe 28, 27, 28.
How old are you, bro?
28.
Bro, it's so crazy because I actually posted that question on my story a few months ago, right? And I was surprised because a lot of people said they'd rather work for the money. So I made a video and I'm like, I'm so confused. Why would you guys just leave $40 million on the table? And the responses out that I was getting was a lot of people were saying yeah, maybe you can take that 50 million and turn it into 100 million. But me, where I'm at in the position right now, I need to learn how to make that money multiply. I don't know how to do it yet, right? Mm-hmm. I'll just blow it, right? So, and I'm like, okay, I see that perspective. I definitely see that perspective, but it's definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting. Timing is everything, bro. Timing is everything. But
I got a question for y'all. So, because I had my answer in my head. how would you make that money multiply? Like if you had to like sum it up in like a few words, like, you know, of course you're not gonna be able to get into everything, but like, you know how you would go and make like 50 million multiply?
Buy as much real estate as possible.
That's it.
Buy as much real estate as possible, bro. Like that's the only answer I have. That's it.
I got a different answer.
Yeah.
I would go and buy as many relationships, high level relationships as possible. Like with 50 million, I would have the time and like the space to be in those rooms for as long as I needed to be.
Dang it, bro. Why did I think of that?
Those relationships, because those relationships are going to multiply that money way faster than my ass will.
That's really good.
Here's where it's at, though. You're buying that real estate, and then that cash flow is coming in. Use that cash flow to buy those relationships.
Facts. Well, I mean, with a 50 million buffer, I think I'm good to sit for a minute. I think
now with inflation at freaking 12%.
Fact, yo. You know, so it's funny though. Like I truly, because like I will end up buying real estate, and like when I look at like the relationships, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna want to buy big apartment buildings. I'm gonna go get a relationship with, you know, Tim Clothier, right? Go get a relationship with Tim Bratz, right? Go get a relationship with like these people that are doing multifamily at a high freaking level, right? Go get into those rooms, go show up, and because I don't have to worry about taking care of myself at all, I'm just gonna go figure out how the heck can I go serve them. Right? How can I go serve at the highest level possible? And I'd be able to put my being into it without necessarily wearing myself out to the point of like it being counterproductive. So I'd be able to live at a higher level of self-enlightenment or self-interest and enlightened self-interest.
And that's how you kill two birds with one stone, though, right? Like Carlos, you interviewed Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos Zero.
The story was he wrote a check to Grant Cardone for like $1 million for a deal, right? So he bought a relationship and a building at the same time.
Exactly.
That's a great point, bro.
I mean, the relationships proximity will change our lives much faster. I mean, like I'm only able to, you know, do what I do in real estate now and do what I do as an entrepreneur simply because of relationships. Because if I had to rely fully on myself, and trust me, I naturally, my old tendencies want me to go back and rely purely on myself. However, when things go further, it's because I'm relying on others. Yesterday, my business partner reached out to me and said, bro, we got an offer on the property, 150, right? We're listing it for 135, right? We're 15K or 137 with 12K over ask, no inspection, right? You know, it's going to be a great profit margin we're making on that. My contribution to this deal was a small part. I brought the money, right? And I brought the confidence that, hey, let's do the deal, right? Like, because I recognize like he's a fantastic guy, right? And we both need each other, right? I need him. He gives me confidence to know the deal is going to get done. He needs me. He needs a second pair of eyes to say like, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's giddy up together, right? Like if it falls apart, you know, at least there are two of us to take the heat, to take this down. And what's really cool is I recognize it's relationships, right? I have all the knowledge, but I can't necessarily implement. There are some people that can implement, but they don't have all the knowledge, right? So I start realizing this who, not how, this Dan Sullivan model, right? You know, Mike, Daryl, you guys right now are helping me achieve a goal right now. My goal is there's 7.8 billion people on this planet, and I want to help them achieve personal, professional, and financial success in their lives by empowering their mindset and connecting them to the right people, right? In order for me to reach all of these individuals, 7.8 billion people, I need to reach out and be on other people's platforms. I need to be on other people's stages. I need to be able to talk to other people's audiences, right? Because you have gathered people, like-minded individuals that I currently might not know who I am, right? So you're helping me achieve my goal. So it's a relationship that's doing more of the work than anything else right now.
Bro, speaking about that, you just told us your purpose, right? That is your purpose, right? What you said, what you just said.
Yeah, bro.
How did you find that? How did you find that? How did you figure out that was your purpose?
Bro, that's a long story. Like legitimately, like that's like a full on, like that's like a 2-hour long story to give like deepest details. But like for me to give like the super abbreviated Cliff Note version of it, it comes from back earlier. I alluded to there was a moment in my life where I was extremely alone, right? Like lonely, not even alone, lonely. And from that loneliness, I had enough time to reflect. And when I found myself coming out of like that dark period, I realized that my life is made better by people, and my life is made meaningful by people. And I want to serve people, like myself included. I consider myself to be a person, but I don't want to serve myself directly. I want to serve myself by serving others, because I know, and I've been fortunate enough to have been taught this, that I'm not here to serve me, right? And I know vice versa. You and Mike and everyone else, we're not here to serve ourselves. We are here to serve others. And if we all start to understand this and adopt this, and this essentially is like the go-giver ethos, this is what makes Sub 2 such an amazing community, is all 4,500 of us get this, right? Everyone just innately, or at some point, learned it and has adopted this mindset, this philosophy, this way of living, that I am here to serve others, right? In theory, right, Christians that are truly Christians by action, not by title, they get this, right? You serve yourself. This is what we call enlightened self-interest. I know that by serving you, I'm in fact serving myself, right? And it's not that you have to pay me back directly. It's a universal thing, right? Like it's a God thing. He takes care of the bill. He takes care of the tab. And when you get served back, you never get what you put in. You get much more. So when I recognized this and I came out of this, I recognized like, hey, my purpose here is to experience life at its highest level, the way it's meant to be experienced, and to truly serve others, because very selfishly, I get a good feeling out of serving, out of being of use and being of value and being useful to other people in a way that's sustainable. So it's such a multifaceted game. It keeps me entertained. I don't get bored. I'm constantly figuring out new ways to add value and how to do it responsibly, so that I don't just burn out so quickly that I was of so much service today that I can't be of service for the next 10 days. Like, that's not my goal. I look at guys like Tony Robbins. Dude, Tony Robbins, when he's on stage, he's burning like 15,000, 18,000 calories in a day, right? Like, he is serving at such a high stinking level. Pace Morby serving at a high freaking level, right? These guys are going out there and serving at such a high level, and they're not getting burnt out. I'm just like, whoa, like I need to go train with those people. I need to go understand how they are doing it, and then bring that back. So that's my kind of short, long answer.
So good, bro. And that's why I love Sub 2, bro, because I'm not gonna say we all, majority of us have that mindset, that servant mindset, right? Like, I just want to serve. And that's how we started off this podcast. We talked about literally serving the people that are watching, right? Like, I had a one-on-one with Pace, and I told him, like, yo, I'm feeling stuck, right? I don't know how to get to this next point, right? And this was a few months back, and he's like, you need to serve the community more. You need to provide value to the community, right? Once I started doing that, like you just said, bro, it starts coming back times 10, bro, 10x easily, right? And now I just focus on, how can I serve? How can I help somebody else, right? Like, I'm doing this, like, you see me streaming live every single day, right? Part of that is to keep me accountable, but what keeps me going is the fact that I probably average like 20 people watching at a time, bro. And that's really, really good. And people hit me up every single day telling me how much they're learning, how much they're inspired, how much they're implementing what I'm doing in their business. Like, and that makes me want to go harder.
We just lose him for a second.
Mm-hmm.
It's doing the same thing, bro. We all just want to serve, man. I love that.
Yeah, you know what's crazy about Pace? Every single time this dude has told me to do something, I went and done it, and it worked.
All the time.
Literally every single time. He's never failed.
Yeah.
How does somebody get like that? How does somebody get right?
How does somebody get? Repeat that question.
How does somebody hit everything on the nail every single freaking time?
Well, here's the beautiful thing. He doesn't.
Right.
right? Like he really doesn't. And this is like why I freaking love Pace freaking Morby, because he's not perfect, but he's progressive, right? He screws up plenty of things. In fact, he tells us go out there and fuck it up. Like he'll
Exactly.
actually say like, "Yo, go screw things up. Bring your problems back to the community so we can solve it together." Because
I guess my question is him saying that is him hitting it on the nail. Every time he tells you to do something and you go do it, it works. If he tells you to go fuck some shit up, you go fuck some shit up and it works.
And that's because he's screwed it up in the past, and that's how he's learned.
Yeah, because here's the counterintuitive thing, and I learned this from talking to Danny Chavez. Danny Chavez was at the Clever Summit. He was the dude that came on the stage with the fedora near the end that was raising the money for the for charities. Homeboy has about 800, a little over 800 employees. Probably next to Ed Milet, one of the wealthiest men in the room. And bro, like the conversation I had with him was literally mind melting. Like the world started tripping out. I was just like, yo, we take some mushrooms together or something? What is going on? Like Homeboy was a visionary on another level. I didn't even realize there were such deep levels to the level of visionary you can be. So I'm extremely grateful. Like I don't know if Danny will ever see this again. I don't know. I'm sure I'll talk to him again in the future. I don't know when that will be, but I just want to put it out there right now publicly. Like I am beyond grateful for Danny for having spent that time with me. Because it was a very small, intimate setting. It was like three of us just hanging out in a circle talking. And he showed me another level to a visionary, whether he realized it or not. And we spoke about this concept about getting to success. And a lot of people from the outside in believe that success looks something like this. If this is the meter bar, right? From here is the beginning, or let me use this hand because it's on the right side of the screen. If this is the beginning and this is the end. People think success looks like filling in all of this with 100% like execution, right? Like figuring it out, like getting things right. Danny said, actually, what you need to account for is maybe that you will get about 70% of it right. And then 30% of it, you need to expect that that is failure. And that is the formula for success. He's like, it's 70% right, 30% failure. Right? He's like, and me saying 30% is me being nice. He's like, it's actually probably going to be more than 30%. He's like, but I just want you to understand that the true formula, the true recipes, the ingredients to create this cake, right, is actually, yeah, go get garbage. Go get 30% of the garbage, 30% of the mistakes. Go get the screw-ups, the, oh, shit, we lost money. We fired the wrong person. We hired the wrong person. We signed the wrong contract. We sent the wrong deed. We said the wrong thing. Go get that and get it as fast as you can, because those are crucial ingredients to the overall success of the baking of this cake. He's like, so many people think that they're not supposed to have mistakes. So now they're looking for this way of like not creating any mistakes. And so they're so timid to move forward that they don't go anywhere. It's like, understand mistakes are a part of the game. So start running, right? Like get through them as fast as possible. We have to change our association to failure and recognize failure as knowledge. Failure is a part of the formula. And like if we can get people to understand this, and this doesn't mean go purposefully screw up. It just means don't be so concerned about screwing up, because when it happens, and it will happen, and if it's not happening, I can guarantee it means one thing. It means you're not doing enough. When it does happen, don't look at it as I am a failure. Don't self-identify, right? Just look at it as, oh, this happened. Like, hey, we screwed up. That's the reality. Now create a new solution. And by creating a new solution, you have made yourself more powerful. Pace Morby, prime example. Alex Hormozy, prime example. Grant Cardone, prime example. In fact, everybody should go watch Undercover Billionaire and go watch how these billionaires screwed up in the course of making a new $1 million business inside of 90 days.
Bro, that's
so
awesome.
There's two ways to always go get something right. So, for example, Pace, when he gives advice, usually it works. Like, I'm going to say 100% of the time. And where he's getting his advice from is two different places. One place, he went and collapsed time. He went and learned it from somebody that fucked some shit up. Or he went and fucked some shit up.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, you get these things right. You can go figure out the right way to do it two different ways. Go figure it out from somebody that already has fucked it up and collapse time, or go do it on your own. Sometimes you have to do it on your own. There's things that you just have to go do, that you have to feel yourself. Like for me, I have to touch the pot when it's hot to know that I got to like this sometimes. But it's a very freaking expensive way to go learn. And it's a very expensive way to go get it right.
Bro, Rick Ross said it best, bro. You got to destroy before you elevate. Like, whenever everybody that we brought on here, for the most part, they had a time where they were like down bad, bro, like to the back against the wall type thing, where they had to just make a choice, right? So you got to fail. But I do want to rewind. I want to rewind a little bit. Not that this is a great topic, but I want to rewind back to when we were talking about serving, because I see Isaiah. Shout out to Isaiah. He says, I intend to learn how to serve the community more. Right. So if you can have a conversation with somebody who, because I get this question so many times, bro. If you have somebody who says, like, I want to serve, but I don't have anything to give, what would you tell them?
I love that question because, it's not a. Here's what I would say. And I'd really hope that they are listening and they really understand this. And I know the knowledge comes at the right time. So this might just be the first time of many. Sometimes you have to hear things 7 times before you hear it once. So I'll say it until I'm blue in the face because I know the value it can bring. Understand the most valuable thing you will ever be able to give anybody is your authentic self. It is the only thing that you can give that nobody else can.
So good.
It's the only thing. So first off, learning to just appreciate and respect yourself, to recognize that you are a gift, no matter who you are, right? You come with your own experiences. You come with your own story. You come with a whole host of things, right, that nobody else can emulate. No one else can duplicate. So recognize and honor that first. And then now let's say you are like, you know what, Marlon, I do believe you. I do believe I'm valuable. I do believe I'm authentic. But, practically, man, like I walk into these rooms, there are these high-level entrepreneurs. They're high-level achievers, right? They're doing business for 12, 14, 15 years. I want to get into their inner circle, right? But like now I don't know what to bring them of value. Like, like they're happy to have me. They smiled, they nodded, they shook my hand, but like, what can I do for them that will make their lives better? Which I understand is the second step, right? So to evolution to this, because at some point you do want to be able to give more than just good vibes. Although I can tell you, giving good vibes truly, like, it gets me into so many rooms, right? Like I recognize that a lot of people can't provide the vibration that I provide. So I capitalize on that. So now let's say you're like, hey, you know what, Marlon, I can't put out good vibes as well as you can. You just don't know how to yet. So you're in a place where you don't know how to yet. What you can begin to do is observe. Become observant. Actually watch them and recognize it's your selfish desire right now to serve them so immediately because you want something from the service of serving them. You want something from them, whether it be their respect, admiration, or whatever. That's why you're trying to serve them so hard. So you're serving for a reason. Like now, I don't want to say a wrong reason, right? But recognize that, look, if you truly want to serve them, you're going to watch and you're going to see where there is an opportunity, where you see something missing, and then go and do it. Pace teaches this, and I'm grateful because he taught me this. He said, bro, he's like, Jamil's my best friend. I went over to Jamil's house and I saw that his camera set up for his Zooms was garbage. He was just running it off of his MacBook. He's like, I went home that very next day, like that day, and I ordered for him professional lights, professional cameras. I coordinated with his wife to have it set up so when he came home, it was already set up for him. He didn't ask him. He didn't tell him. He just did it for him. So he was only able to do that because he took enough time to be observant. He didn't come up and say to him, hey, how can I best serve you? Because asking someone, how can I best serve you? What you're really asking them to do is, hey, can you analyze me? Tell me who I am, see what you see inside of me, figure out what I might or might not be good at, and then experiment to see if I can fit anywhere inside of your life. And, do you mind doing that for me right now? So by asking them, how can you serve them? You're already asking them to serve you. Like
this is second week in a row.
Yep.
Second week in a row, we went over this. Yeah, Ben, here's what Ben said. Ben Humble. Shout out to Ben. He said last week on our podcast, he was like, bro, I was doing this all wrong. I was going up to high level people trying to give value, and I was offending people. I was like, hey, how can I help you? They're like, dude, I don't need your freaking help. He even said there was one time where he just randomly sent a gift to one of his mentors or somebody of high level, just randomly. Right? And the dude never replied, never posted anything, never did anything. And he was super, super hurt. He was like, damn, I worked hard on that gift that I gave that guy. Ended up talking to him like, I think 8 months later or something like that, and found out the dude was just like, bro, I knew that you just wanted to get a post out of it. Like, why the hell did you give me this gift? So what Ben was like, when you get in these rooms, truly, truly listen to somebody.
And I want to add this. I really do. Like, guys, like, this is why, like, it starts off with authenticity. It starts off with self-identity. It starts off with knowing yourself. Because I'll be honest, there are people that, like, I wanted to connect with, who I looked up to from, like, social media as, like, influencers and things of that nature. I'm not gonna say any of their names because not shade. You know, like, I don't want to put any sort of, like, negativity towards them because I don't want it to be taken the wrong way. But I've met them in person, and they're great people, fantastic people. We didn't resonate. So although I thought I wanted a friendship with them, when I actually met them and I saw that, hey, we actually don't have that much in common, I actually don't really want to be your friend. Like, I'm happy to be your acquaintance. I'm happy to do business with you. If you like me, that's really cool. And I can respect you for certain things. But, like, it's not like hanging out with you, Mike, and hanging out with you, Daryl, where it's like I feel like I can just relax and, like, naturally we vibe on the same frequency naturally already. And with this other person, it was like, hey, I know how to be on your frequency, but, like, I don't naturally want to exist on that frequency. Like, that's a frequency I go, like, that frequency to me that you're on currently as your default frequency, that's my work mode frequency. So when I'm chilling with you, I don't want to be in work mode. Like, I want to, like, my friends, I don't want to feel like I'm in work mode. Even if we're getting work done, I don't want to feel like I'm in work mode, which means we vibrate on a different frequency. So recognize that may happen as well. Like, you may have mentors, you may have people that you look up to that you might want to do business with, but they're not necessarily people that you might want to do life with. And if you feel that way, guess what? They feel that same way as well. Right? Like, we can, like, respect your feelings, like, respect the way you feel about people, and understand that if it don't feel right, like in this case where he sent the gift and it was just like, yeah, what was the purpose of that? Because what he's saying is, look, when we've been together, when we connected, we didn't really connect like that. Because I didn't feel it on my side. So I know if I didn't feel it on my side, I know you didn't feel it on your side. So this gift was purely intellectual. This gift was purely methodical. This gift was purely for the sense of getting something in return versus it being emotional. Like, when I give from an emotional place, yo, what was the reason for this? Yo, it was just because. Like, LT gave me a gift last week or 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't expecting it, and I appreciate it so much. And it was just because, like, there's a connection. There's a vibe. So awesome. Recognize that, like, yo, trust the vibe. We gotta get a t-shirt, hashtag trust the vibe.
Bro, literally the day after Daryl, I forgot to tell you this. The day after last podcast last week with Ben, somebody shoots me a text and it says, hey bro, what do you need in your business right now? I want to get some deals done together.
I bet you, did you even respond?
I read, bro.
Yeah.
And, like, no disrespect, but, like, come on, yo.
Bro, so Mike actually did this for me, right? Like, Mike, we had got on one call, right? Before we started this podcast. It was our first time ever talking, right? We got on the Zoom, and I got on his podcast. We had a conversation, and he hit me up after, and he's like, yo, I'm adding you to my StreamYard. We need to start a podcast.
Let's go.
And we did it, right? And then, I don't know if we did this intentionally, but last week, a couple of weeks ago, I sent him, I was just messing around on Canva, right? Making a little thumbnail, just seeing, because I was gonna, like, I had planned to do the streaming until I hit the 10 deals a month, right? But I wasn't set, right? So I sent it to Mike just to see, like, what he thought about it. This dude posted it on his story. So I'm like, bro, okay, I guess I'm doing this. So I posted it right on my page. I'm like, all right, starting Monday, this is what we doing. And
yeah, I didn't do that on purpose. I just honestly saw it. I'm like, oh shit, he's going live. That's dope. That's fire. That makes you take action on it.
It made me take action. But what you seen was I didn't really have a social media presence. Like Marlon, you were telling you always told me too, I need to post more, right? I need to post more. Now that I'm on YouTube doing podcasts and stuff like this, it's forcing me to post more. It's forcing me to have a presence. So, bro, I'm grateful for you, Mike, for doing that for me, bro. But that's exactly what we're talking about, right? He didn't come to me and ask me what do I need in my business. He's seen what I needed and he helped me get there. Yep. Right. So that's really big.
That's one of the biggest things. Like, just see it and then facilitate it and like go give it. If people could recognize that and really start to understand that, you're gonna watch. You will now start to become more valuable to people. And again, it can be little things, right? Like when you look at these guys at higher and higher levels, you got to understand, right? Like this is why like it's super easy for me to connect with guys at higher level, because I've already gotten through that phase of my life where I no longer get starstruck, right? Like I used to be a pro parkour athlete. Like I met all the like professional parkour athletes that used to like, those are my idols. Those are the people that like I would go on like, you know, palms would get sweaty around. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say to them? And I realized, these guys are just guys, right? Like I became one of them. I'm like, we're just people. So when I step into the real estate space, like I see the Pace Morby, Carlos Reyes is the, Tim Bratz, the Max Maxwells, and I'm like, these are just dudes. Right? Like, and Mindset Marlon, right? Like I see myself as an equal in the room. And I provide that, right? Like they feel that off of me. Like I'm not intimidated by you. I respect you, but I'm not intimidated by you, and I'm not enamored by you. And how awesome is that? Because it's kind of a weird feeling. I'm going to share this with everybody. The people that you idolize, it's a really weird feeling for them when you come up to them and you're putting them on this imaginary pedestal and they got no clue how high you're pushing them up. It's a really weird feeling because we know that we'll never be able to live up to the expectation that you have in your mind of us because it's not real. So if you can take them off that pedestal and just treat them like a normal person, treat them like your friend, right? And this is what Pace does so well. He helps people. He gives people enough time and opportunity to take him off the pedestal because they put him on the pedestal. Like you see it when people come in, they put him on the pedestal. And the difference between him and some other people is other people will allow themselves to stay on that pedestal, right? And they make themselves untouchable. And it's hard for their students and their followers to get the same results because there's such a major disconnect. But Pace humanizes himself so much so that actually today, shout out to, again, gotta give some love to Pace Morby. Always gonna be shouting you out, bro. I hope you get more followers. Hope you have more blessings in your life. Hope more comes to you because you've changed our lives and we appreciate you. Today, he's gonna be for our community. He's inside there with Elena Tang today. Shout out to Elena. Always just helping people, serving the community, serving people at such an unbelievable level that she's going to be interviewing him today to dive into his mindset, asking him to open up and be vulnerable and show his pain. That's happening in 12 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
So y'all already know we're going to go outside and support Elena and go support.
Oh, that's right. You said it's in 6 minutes, right?
Starts at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yep. Man. To touch on that really quick, Marlon.
Daryl's like, I'll try to get out of here.
No, bro. I actually want to. I
do want to listen to that for sure. I do have a quick story.
I do too, but like real quick, Mike. Not to cut you off, bro.
Gotcha.
But put in like that. That's it is a weird feeling when you have people coming up to you, and I only have a little taste of it, right? Like I only have like the sub 2 taste of it, right? Because people look up to us three as leaders in the community, and people come up to us like with a lot of times like putting us on a higher pedestal, right? And that actually gives me mindset issues, bro. Like I have mindset issues with that. I was just telling Keston, like I get imposter syndrome a lot, bro. A lot. Because people see what you're doing and it's like they have you up here when you know that that's where you're heading, right? But there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, right? Like it's not as perfect as it looks, right? And I get it happens a lot where I'm like, dang, I'm really not where I need to be at yet. And these people are looking at me like I'm a superhero, bro. And I don't think I'm that yet. and it happens a lot, bro. And I'm glad you said that because it made me. I don't know. It was good. It's
I
good.
did that too, bro.
Yeah,
bro.
That go ahead.
No, you got a mic. I want to hear what you got to say, bro.
That happens to me a lot. Like even sometimes on the nightly dial, bro.
yeah.
Like I'm hanging out with people like Dan Quijano, who has like 20 years worth of sales experience, and I have to do a feedback right after him, and I'm like, well, crap. Like he has some really, really good feedback. I love Daniel. But yeah, bro, I get that all the time too. I'm glad that you mentioned it. I'm excited to hear what Marlon says.
Bro, and yo, I get the exact same thing, and I struggled with this. Like, yo, guys, like I know mindset's so crazy important, and I wouldn't talk about mindset for a while, especially when I got into Sub 2. For about the whole first year, I didn't talk about mindset to anybody, and I could have been serving the community at a higher level, but I wasn't doing it because I felt insecure. I felt I wasn't enough yet to bring this value, to bring what I know is one of the most valuable things I can give people, like a tool to help them improve their lives. When we started the sales dojo, which turned into, eventually it evolved and became the daily dials in the morning, right, bro? Like, think about it. When Will and I created that, we created it as a means of us getting better at talking to sellers because we didn't have enough leads to talk to. Therefore, we're admitting that we aren't good at this yet. We need practice. So then as other people started to come in, simply because we were like hosting it and leading it, they were like, oh, you guys are already the experts and the champions. So we became like the judges, and they forgot, like, hey, like we've only had this thing running for a little while. Like we still need our practice. We still need our reps, but we're giving everyone else their reps. And now they're putting us up on this pedestal again. And we're just like, holy crap, what's going on? Because now it's like, guys, like I still feel like I'm not good enough. You come in here and you feel like you're not good enough. I still feel like I'm not good enough. I still feel like I need more practice. And now it's like I'm almost like scared to go back into the practice arena because you've already elevated us so high.
Oh my
We're getting
gosh,
from this picture of us that you're holding, right? You're like, you put us up here, and now this picture of us is inspiring you. And so I was like, do I want to be the person that takes away the inspiration from you? I don't want to do that. And luckily, again, like I have a mindset coach for myself, guys. Like I pay someone to help me with my mindset as well, right? And what I realized is if I truly want to help them, if I truly have respect for them, I need to be honest with them about where I'm at and who I am and what I'm going through, because I don't need someone else out there pretending. So I would share like, hey, I feel like an imposter, right? And by simply putting it out there, but I'm continuing to improve, right? And starting to own my position and realize, you know what, you're putting me on an elevated, you see something in me that I don't yet see. So I can either do two things when that happens. I can either say like, no, that's not me. And I can start to block my blessings, or I can begin to live into the version of me that you're seeing. And I'm going to control the narrative though. I'm not going to let you put me where I don't want to be. Right. So if you're boosting me up to a level I don't want to go to yet, I'll take it to the level that I want to go to. Right. So I'm still going to stay in control. And it's going to require more of me. It gets scary because it requires more of me. And I'm going to make that decision to grow into that person. You know, that's how I became a closer. I became a closer because I was thrusted into that position. And I said, it's time to perform.
man. This is so good, bro. We can obviously sit on here all freaking
We could be on
day,
here for hours.
bro. Bro, this is by far my favorite episode. I
For
promise,
sure.
this is my favorite episode, bro. I'm so grateful for you, Marlon, to come and bless us with this knowledge, bro. And just, I feel my brain growing right now. Like I feel like I know exactly what to do. And I'm just super grateful for you, brother. Super grateful that I can call you a friend. Super grateful that we're in proximity with each other,
Bro,
bro.
you need to loosen your hat, dog.
I do, bro. I do. My brain is growing, bro. Gonna pop the snaps off the back.
Yeah. And I got to say, honestly, it's an honor to be here. Like, you guys crush it with this show. You crush it with your energy, the work that you put into this. Like, I want people to know, like, it takes time. Like, it's scary as hell creating a podcast. It's scary as hell putting yourself out there to just be judged and watched. And I respect you for doing it because you are serving so many people inside and outside of our community. So I am just honored to be here. I feel really fortunate that you would allow me to come onto your platform and, just share. So thank you so much for having me here. And I'm looking forward to the rest of today. I'm looking forward to the rest of our journey.
Bro, where if people who are watching who don't know how to get in contact with Marlon Johnson, how do they tap into you? I know you have a YouTube channel, your Instagram, you got Morning Mindset Coffee. Where can they find you, bro?
Yeah, the best place to go find me on Instagram at Mindset Marlon. Once you find me on Instagram at Mindset Marlon, and it's Marlon with an O, Marlon. So Mindset, one word, Marlon, Marlon. When you go on there, just give me a follow. Go into my bio. There's a link tree. Like if you click that little link in my bio, and from there it will connect you to everything else. It will connect you to the podcast that I'm doing, which I'm extremely proud of, where I have extremely high level guests on. I'm gonna have Mike and Daryl back on that podcast as well. It's where you're gonna find the Morning Mindset Coffee calls, right? It's gonna be where you find everything, the YouTube channel, the events that we host. Just go click on that link tree, and whatever you need, I can guarantee you it's in there. And when you add a follow, shoot me a DM. Like if you met me, if you heard about me from this podcast, right? Like tag me, right? Like tell me what a big takeaway was. Like I want to know. Like I genuinely want to know what was valuable, so I could hopefully do more of that. And just reach out. Like I want to get to know you.
Thank you, bro.
This is so good, bro. Mike, you got anything you want to say, bro? Before we end up?
All I'm going to say is thank you, bro. Both of y'all.
Guys, make sure y'all are subscribing to the channel. Make sure you guys right now go subscribe to. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe to mine. Subscribe to Mike's. Subscribe to Marlon's. And like this video. Make sure you guys are tuning in. We'll be here every single weekend, Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern time, just dropping gems. Next week, I'm super excited for next week too. It's another great friend of ours. We have Keston Glasgow coming in, and bro, this is gonna be good, bro. So make sure y'all are joining, y'all are subscribing.
One day we're gonna have to have both of them. Keston,
that's gonna be crazy.
If they liked me today, I'm telling you guys, like I'm the farmer out there that's like tilling the soil. It's crazy that you got the lineup like this because I'm the farmer that just like tilled the soil. So now the soil is ready for the seed. Keston is about to come in and drop the seeds. He's going to be burying the gems deep inside of you. So dang, you guys lined this up perfectly, man. Like that, I didn't even know Keston was coming on after me, man. Like this couldn't have been any better. Like anyone watching this in the future as a replay that's about to get hit with Marlon then Keston,
crazy, bro.
Game changer.
Yes, sir. Marlon, my brother, I appreciate you so much, man. Till next time, y'all. I will see y'all later. It's Wholesale Hardknocks. We out of here.